Incoming transmission.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel again. This is a review on a new game I've just been playing called The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Now, the game is set in a kind of a fairly large landscape. It's kind of like I guess like well, in fact, it's a small section, for instance, of the Skyrim world, if you can imagine it that way. It's typical flora and fauna of a, I don't know, somewhere in the west, a woods, and there's a few houses, and a dam and a waterfall. I won't try not to give too much away to that regard, but basically the landscape's actually a bit bigger actually than I thought it would be before I bought the game. But within that, there really is many puzzles that you have to work out. The genre is really a mystery slash puzzle game. As it says, it does not hold your hand. As the game advertises, it doesn't give too much away. But actually, I found once you learn the basic dynamic of the game, then you can solve all the puzzles fairly easy. It's just getting that initial understanding of how to play the game that can take a little while, and will have you going backwards and forwards. But that's all part of the enjoyment, you know. A lot of games are very dumbed down these days, and this game actually, it does leave these puzzle solving largely up to you. Having said that, as I said, once you kind of get the hang of it, you can work the puzzles out fairly quickly, quite often. It took me about 7.5 hours to complete, and that was without any guides or cheating or anything, just working on my own initiative. And obviously, unfortunately, there isn't much replayability, as good as the game is and as beautiful as the graphics are, as you can see. Once you've done it, you know you've done it, really. Although I suppose it could be that I've missed certain Easter eggs or secrets, who knows. That's probably the only really bad point about the game that comes to mind straight away, is it's a little bit short. But for 15 quid, it's I'd say it's worth it. It's a really visually impressive game. Doesn't need a huge amount of hardware to run. You know, it's an enjoyable experience, I will say that. It actually reminds me of a game I used to play as a kid called Myst. I remember, I think Myst might have been a bit harder, either that or I was a bit more clueless when I was, I don't know, 8 years old. But I never seemed to get anywhere with Myst. On this game, I actually started to progress fairly quickly once I got the hang of it. Yeah, so, you know, pros, again, beautiful graphics, lovely water effects. You know, the Unreal engine is put nicely on display here with some really good textures. And the puzzles themselves are actually quite fun. I was a bit worried that the game would be, I don't know, it would lack a certain amount of skill. There would be hardly any animations or no animations whatsoever. Actually, there is quite good characters, and there are some animated sequences. Again, I don't want to give too much away because it would spoil the game, but it's short, but what there is pretty much top quality. I mean, if this was a AAA title, I'm sure it could it could go on a lot longer, but for what there is, I would say the standard is pretty much AAA. So that said, I really enjoyed this game. It's kind of got that feeling of being like a good book where you really get into it, and it's hard to put down. That does sound a bit sad, really, because we shouldn't be gaming for too long, folks. You need to do other things as well. But yeah, it did have that gripping effect actually while I was playing. When it's great that you can use your own initiative, and most of the puzzles actually have a kind of practical element where if you just stop and think for a minute, you kind of see where the clues that you were missing before, etc. It's all nothing's not explained. There's no puzzles that don't have any clues or any like hint of what could be happening. You have to listen, you have to pay attention. It doesn't put a little spot on your radar as to where to go next, and let's face it, that is a good thing, because they seem to a lot of games now, when they're catering for the masses, they have to have the game playable for like the thickest possible person, so it's appealing to a wider audience. If you're stupid, don't buy this game, because you probably won't be able to get through it. But I would recommend not using a walkthrough. To me, it just defeats the whole object. The most enjoyable thing about this game is just discovering things and like working out problem solving. Is really rewarding. So yeah, I mean, again, this is a kind of mystery puzzle type genre game. It's somewhat of a new genre actually. I mean, there were games such as Myst and Reven years ago, but I hadn't seen any. But the genre seems to be making a comeback at the moment. I've seen a few other games similar to this, and well, it's a great idea actually, and in this case it works really well. I'd say the only bad point is the lack of being able to play it again, really. But it's the kind of thing you might even want to show your friends, So yeah, overall this game really gets a good score. I would give it 8 out of 10 and a thumbs up. It's worth a play. Cheers.